Okay, so let's see if this works. We've created our bone class. We have created a method to display it. So let's go back to our homepage sketch. And again, you can refer to this class basic syntax on javascript.info/class. And we had the constructor, we defined the method. This is all within that class definition. And now as we create an instance of that class, we take the cookie cutter, this is the cookie cutter, and we make a cookie right here. You use the syntax new, and then the name of the class, so this is the same as the class we defined, and then whatever parameters or arguments that you pass into it. And this is stored in a variable name. And then once that's done, you can call methods to it. So let's do that. So first let's create a variable name. So it's like let bone1, let bone2. So these variables are declared at the top in global scope, but we haven't assigned this class object to them yet. So we can do that in setup. So here bone1 equals new, name of the class, which is capitalized, and then inside parentheses, the different arguments, parameters that you're passing into it. And guess what? These are the same as the ones that we passed into that function that we created to the start. So I'm going to take those and pass it into there. And then if we run this, we're still not seeing it. Okay, let's see if it exists. So to see if it exists, I'm going to console.log this bone1 thing. We'll run this, and sure enough, to the console, we have your new bone object that has these different properties, the X position, Y position, and the rotation. Awesome. Why aren't we seeing it? Oh, we have to use the display method. So in the draw, so this is at the same time that we drew it before, we have to display this bone1. I'm just going to go ahead and write bone1.display. Run this. There it is, right there. And this display refers to the display method that we defined in our bone class. So back here, okay, bone1 display, and then let's do this with bone2. So I'm going to duplicate this line, cursor at the front, Shift-Command-D, and I'm going to change bone1 here to bone2. We don't really need that console.log, so delete that. So now we have our two bone variables, and we got bone1 display. Now I'm going to make a bone2 display, and this bone2, we also want to give it the same position and rotation that we had done in that initial. We did it the first time, so I'm going to paste that there. Okay, now if we display that, there are two bones. The difference then when we did it with the function definition is that these are now class objects, and their position, rotation, all this stuff is stored in that object. So we can refer to it with the variable name dot. So now let's do something more exciting. Let's move it. So back in our bone class, let's create a new method that is move. And in move, how do we move it? Okay, we change the Y position of this bone. So when we move it, we're going to take the Y position, which you have to refer to with this Y position. This Y pos equals this Y pos plus 2. So this will increase it by 2 each frame. Now there's a shorthand way to do this, which is this dot Y pos plus equals 2. So this plus equals is just shorthand for this right here. Because you do this so often in programming, there's a shorthand. And if you were increasing it just by 1, you can use this even shorter shorthand, this pause plus plus. But for now, let's keep it at 2, because I think it needs to move at a faster rate. And this right here, shorthand is plus equals. Shorthand below, let's be really specific. Okay, so now let's see if this works. I'm going to go back to the sketch.js. So after we've displayed bone 1 and bone 2, why don't we move them? So bone 1 dot move. And then if we watch this, bone, ooh, typo. Bone 1. Okay, so there that first one moves. Now it's off the screen. So maybe I want to add something else into that move method where when it hits the bottom, let's reset it to the top. So it's just raining bones, raining bones, raining bones. Okay. So back in the bone, we got this move. So let's think about this. How do you do this? Y pause increases by 2 when Y position hits here. So when Y position equals height, then reset it up here. So if Y pause, let's just say it's greater than or equal to, nope, right the first time, less than or equal to height. So this is just saying the Y position is anywhere from here up to this point. Then let's do this. And notice I've just created another curly bracket. So I'm going to go down there and add its pair. Now you can tell that it's paired. Okay, so if Y pause is less than height, move it up. Else, and you can say else if, be really specific, else if Y pause is greater than height, then we're going to set it back up here. So if it's greater than height, put it back up here. Then this dot Y pause equals, let's make it 0 for now. But, error, I forgot to use this before these two Y pause definitions. So you always need to refer to that variable of that class object with the word this. Okay, so now I think this will work. And turns out that you actually don't need this argument, because if Y is less than height, great, and if it's not less than height, then it's going to be greater than height. So you don't need to be this specific. You can just say else. And this assumes that since it's not greater or less than the height, then it's not less than the height, then it's obviously greater than the height. Okay, so now I'm going to save this. Yeah, and then it resets. Now notice that it's kind of disappearing before it gets to the bottom and appearing there. So what we're going to do is say it's less than or equal to, how about the height plus, I don't know, height plus, what's the size of the bone? The size of the bone is about height times 0.08. I'm keeping it reference to the height thing so that we can scale it. So I'm going to say height times 1.08. And let's run this. So now it goes all the way off the screen. And then we want to set it instead of 0 to negative height times 0.08. I think this should work. Okay, now we're running it, and there. Wonderful. Now, if we want the other one to move, go back to our sketch.js, we can duplicate this line, Shift-Command-D, and let's just move bone 2. And now they should both move and then reset at the top. Now this one, it looks like because of the rotation, it's popping in a little later. So I'm going to go ahead and go back. I mean, it's popping in. See what I mean? The 0.08 doesn't quite get it off the screen. So I'm going to go back to the bone, and instead of doing this 0.08, let's just make it 0.3. So it's actually going to be appearing way up here, and then it'll disappear way down here, and this will just give it a little bit more wiggle room. Okay, so if we run this, It appears a little slower because it's waiting till down here to reset, but I like it more. It's actually a little more poetic. Okay, so what if we want their sizes to be different? Well, we would create a new argument in the constructor function to refer to the size. So I'm going to make a new size argument, and using the underscore just to distinguish this xpos from this xpos. Now we're going to go this dot size equals size. And it's kind of weird that you have to do this every time, but you do. Okay, so this size equals size, and then where is the size here? Aha. It is with this rectangle. So this is a lot going on here in this push and pop. I could figure out the exact size for the rectangle here, or the circle and the rectangle here, or I can just scale up this push and pop module. So just the same way that you can translate and rotate one of these snippets inside push and pop, you can also scale. So now I'm going to make scale and then refer to this dot scale thing we passed into it. So let's see if this works. I'm going to save this. And now when we declare the bone in our sketch.js, we can, so this is when we're declaring it, I should say instantiate. So we're creating a new instance, a new cookie of this cookie cutter class, which in this case is a bone from the new bone class. And so this refers to the xpos, ypos, rotation. And so now let's just add a different argument and call it, this is the scale, and let's try making it 0.5. Let's see what happens. Let's see if one of these bones is now smaller. No! Scale was expecting at least one argument, but received only 0. So what is going on here? What is going on here? So this dot scale, it should be receiving an argument. Did I save this? Dot size, this size equals size. Oh, I called it scale here and size up here. So we have to call this size. Okay, let's run this. There you go. So now that little bone is smaller, and we're still getting this error. Wonder why. Scale was expecting at least one argument, but received only 0. Ah, maybe that is because we didn't add this same scale for our second one. And let's just see in this console.log error, it's kind of hard to see because it's creating tons and tons. I'm just going to go up to one of them and see if I can open it up. Kind of hard to see. I was hoping it would give us a line number for here, so when you're debugging, you can get more details about what's going on. But okay, let's make one really big. So one is scaled at 0.5 and one at 1.5. Let's run this. Yes. So now you could go ahead and create a lot more bones with different scales. And the next video is going to give you a chance to take it to the next step.